In this Zoom session, we will continue with the topic of time value of money. This is your reference book, and in chapter number 5, you can find this topic. Now, the objective for today's class is to understand annuity. Number 2, ordinary annuity. Number 3 is annuity due, and 4th is loan amortization, and 5th is perpetuity. Now, first we need to understand what is an annuity. The definition of annuity is that an annuity represents a series of equal payments or receipts occurring over a specified number of equidistant periods. Now, in this definition, there are some points that should be noted. Number 1 is that the payments have to be equal, occurring over a specified number of equidistant periods. So, in order for any cash flow to be an annuity, there should be 3 characteristics in that cash flow. Number 1 is that the payment should be equal. So, if it is 1000 in one year, it has to be 1000 in all of the other years as well. The payment is going to be identical, it's going to be equal. The second characteristic is that it has to be for a specified number of years. So there has to be a time limit to it. You need to know when the annuity payment is going to end. So it will always have a defined time limit. And the third characteristic is that it has to be equidistant. Equidistant means that if, let's say, one payment is coming on the 31st December on the year end, then every payment is going to come at 31st December, which is the end of the year. So the gap will be 1 year. If one payment has come on 31st December of 2019, the next payment will come on 31st December of 2020. And equidistant period means that the time gap will be the same. So every payment might be coming after 1 year, or it might be coming after every 1 month, or it might be coming after every day. So basically the time interval has to be the same over here. So the third characteristic is that you need equidistant period. So if these 3 characteristics are there, then that cash flow is called an annuity. So all 3 characteristics need to be there. Even if one of them is missing, then that cash flow is no longer going to be an annuity. It is important for you to identify an annuity, because in annuity you can apply different formulas that are shorter to use. Now let's look at an example of an annuity. So a person deposited 5,000 per year for 4 years. This is an example of annuity. So the timeline for this cash flow is going to be like this. A person deposited 5,000 per year. This is your hint whether it is an annuity or not. So you can see that all 3 characteristics are over here. If you make it on a timeline, the first 5,000 will come at the end of the first year. Then the second will come at the end of the second year. Then at the end of the third year, you have a payment of 5,000 again. And at the end of the fourth year, you have a payment of 5,000 once again. So these are 5,000 that is coming every year for 4 years. Now, reason that this is an annuity is that you can see that the payment is equal. The payment is not changing. Number 2, you can also see that every payment is having a 1 year time gap. So it is distant over here. The payment is coming yearly over here. And the third is that it has a defined timeline. So the payment is coming for 4 years only. And there is no payment at the 5th year. So this is an annuity because number 1, the installment is fixed, number 2, the time interval is fixed, and number 3, the time limit is also defined. So this is an annuity. Now compare this to the questions that you were doing so far. Those were all single cash flow questions. If you go back and see the topic that we have already done, you will see that majority of your questions, the payment is coming only once, right? So till now what you were doing was that there was only a 5,000 maybe over here, and you were trying to find out the present value, or you were depositing 5,000 right now and you wanted to know its future value. So basically the cash flow itself was coming only once. It is called a single cash flow. Whereas now the cash flow is recurring. It's coming again and again. And you might have to find the present value or future value for such cash flows. So first let's try to make sure that your concept is clear. So is this an annuity? You can see that there is a payment at the end of the first year, but then there is no payment at the end of the second year, and then the payment is coming at the end of third year. So over here the time gap is 1 year, but from here till here the time gap is 2 years, and then it's 1 year once again. So it's not equidistant. So this is not an annuity, even though the payments are equal. It's 800 every year, not every year. It is 800, but the time gap is not equal. So we will say that this is not an annuity. Now over here again we have equal cash flows, but this dot 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 n means that the cash flow is continually coming. So you don't know when the cash flow is going to end. It's coming at the end of the 5th year, 6th year, 7th year, and so on. So it's a continuing cash flow. Again, this is not going to be an annuity because it has no defined time limit. So for the cash flow to be an annuity, I'll repeat it once again that there have to be 3 characteristics. Number 1, the cash flows have to be equal. Number 2, they have to be equidistant. And number 3, it has to have a defined time limit. So you need to know when the payment is going to end. Examples of annuities are number 1, student loan payments, car loan payments, insurance premiums, mortgage payments, retirement savings. These are all types of annuities that you can see around in the practical world. Now there are 2 types of annuities. One is ordinary annuity. In ordinary annuity, the payments or receipts occur at the end of each period, whereas the other type of annuity is an annuity due. Over here, the payments or receipts occur at the beginning of each period. So the only difference between both of them is that one of the payments are coming at the end of the year and the other will come at the beginning of the year if the annuity is yearly. So basically, the 3 characteristics will still be there in both types of annuities. So the cash flows will still be equal, they will be equidistant, and you will know when they will end. So the 3 characteristics will be there. The only difference is in the timing of the cash flows. In ordinary annuity, let's say the payment is coming every year on 31st December. Then that's an ordinary annuity because the payment is coming at the end of the year. So once a whole year passes, then the payment is coming, whereas annuity due is an advance payment. So maybe you have given your house on rent to somebody and you collect the rent in advance. So for the whole year rent, you take it on 1st January. Every year on 1st January, you are taking the rent in advance. So that is annuity due. We will discuss both type of annuities in our later units. So first we will go into ordinary annuity and then we will also discuss annuity due in more detail.